June 4th, 2018. Well, it's been a little while since I did a video, and been really busy here on the farm, transplanting and feeding and prepping soils and all that sort of stuff. I thought I would do a quick farm tour update. We got 2 rows of peppers in here. These are hot peppers. On the right, these little bit bigger plants are hot cherry peppers. The rest of these are jalapenos. There's 2 stages there. You go past this little rock here, it switches over to jalapenos from cherries, and those are the ones that came up in the greenhouse a little earlier, so they're a little bigger, so they'll yield a little sooner. This row here that desperately needs some weeding and hilling is a row of Yukon Gold potatoes. They're actually doing pretty well. I just have to get back out here and do some weeding and some soil hilling. It's been pretty dry here the last week and a half or 2, but we got about a 1/4 inch of rain last night, so that was a welcome shot of moisture. But I've been irrigating from the pool with the ram pump, and so things are growing well and starting to really establish well. These were only the first set of leaves on these. I transplanted these about a week ago now, maybe not even, maybe 5 days, 6 days. But they're starting to really take off and do well. Should just show you the more advanced ones, and you can see those are also taking off really well. What else? Let's see. Transplanted the beefsteak tomatoes 3 or 4 days ago, and they are taking off really quickly and really well. We did a sheet mulch here. My friend and helper Monica came and helped. We put down a layer of cardboard here. Well, it's hard to see under here. Let's see if I can find, yeah, a layer of cardboard, and then we mulched over top of that with a heavy layer of grass, which I just mowed and raked with the thatch rake. There's a lemon verbena plant here splitting between the cherry tomatoes and the big beefsteak tomatoes. So those are taking off well. My mom's friend gave me this like stockade cattle type fence. We're going to use this for structural support this year, and I think that'll give us a little better access to the tomatoes for harvest. That'll make harvesting go quicker and easier. What else? The garlic is doing really well. It's really healthy and happy. It's had a few foliar and drench feeds and some irrigation. And they're starting to yellow out on the tips a little bit, so we're getting ready to throw out scapes here pretty soon. In fact, you can see the beginnings of the scapes coming on right here. So we're headed in the direction of completing this crop soon, so that's pretty exciting. What else? The purple striped garlic that my friend gave me is starting to come up through the mulch, and that's doing really well. That also has had some targeted foliar feeds and drenches, both at planting and a light one since. Potatoes are taking off really well. The weeds were starting to get out of control a little bit, and actually you can see I still got to go back and do a few touch-up spots here. But when the weeds start to come up like this between the potatoes, you go through and hill, and you can basically suppress those weeds, and the potatoes, because they're growing faster and more established, will actually take off out over the weeds. And so the hilling technique is a great way to suppress weeds early on. Later on, I probably will come back and mulch over this with grass or leaves or something like that, with a good heavy mulch. These are due for another feed. We do have some Colorado potato bugs starting to show up in here, so I'm going to start feeding these real heavy with a product called C-Stim from Advancing Eco Agriculture. It's really good at stimulating root dominance for the plant and at building pest and disease resistance by building up the plant's health and energy, and basically getting the plant to produce higher level compounds, basically taking it up the plant health pyramid to where it starts producing more complex compounds. And those compounds are compounds that the Colorado potato bug and other higher digestive capable bugs cannot digest. So my goal this year is to get these plants up to such a health level that these bugs, when they eat these plants, actually explode because they're unable to digest the plant compounds that are in them. So we'll see how well that works out. I have an order on the way, thanks to my friend Chris of C-Stim, and that's a 5-gallon, so I should be able to hammer them this season. So hopefully this year I can really set a good example for other farmers and gardeners. What else is going on here on the farm? Let me see. We tilled up for the dwarf blue jewel corn and getting ready to do another planting of that. The first planting of that, as well as the buckwheat cover crop, is up. I'll just give you a quick shot of that. Let's see, it's kind of hard to find the corn and the buckwheat. I think I'm going to delay the buckwheat planting on this next planting because it comes up a little faster than I expected. But there is, believe it or not, dwarf blue jewel corn hidden in here. There's a plant right there. And these have also had, excuse me, these have also had a couple of targeted foliar feeds to get things really rolling. A combination of Accelerate and Sea Shield and Rejuvenate, both to get the soil biology and health up and to get the trace mineral nutrition there to help hit those critical points of influence. We've done the initial planting and the 9 and the 14-day critical point foliar feeds. We're now waiting to do the 42 to 49-day foliar feeds, and I probably will do a drench of Sea Shield Rejuvenate again in a week or two as things start to take off to really help accelerate that soil health and biology. Got a new fence up here. This will be for the smaller vegetables. We've had some problems with woodchucks and that sort of stuff, so decided to put in a secondary fenced area to help control that. I transplanted a bunch of nice cabbage I had started in the greenhouse last week. Unfortunately, slugs, I believe it's slugs, came in and ate all of those, so I'll have to start some new cabbage again. But Monica and I transplanted Thai and lemon basils in here, and we also planted in some yellow wax beans, some red onions, and a couple of rows of Calabrese green sprouting broccoli. So those will be coming up in a week or so. And this also will have a targeted foliar drench. As far as other tomatoes, and other peppers. Sweet peppers are in. All of these were started in the greenhouse with the exception of the taller plants on top here. Those I got from a local greenhouse. They're King Arthur peppers. I didn't have seeds for those, so I bought some. But these other ones that were in the greenhouse are just starting to take. We've had some really dry weather, so I had to irrigate a couple times, but they seem to be pulling through okay, and I expect they'll take off pretty hardcore shortly. Just want to point out that you can see how green and dark the clover is in here. This area was fed heavily with drenches and feeds all last year. I do have to do something with this infrastructure here. I'm not sure if I'm going to do more cherry tomatoes in here or what, but I think I'm going to compress this down and make it a single trellis rather than the double, because I found it was very difficult to reach to the inside to harvest, and I want to make harvesting much easier this year. Down here, Roma plums, Roma plum tomatoes are in. Those are starting to really take off. Of course, those have also had a foliar drench, and I see we're a couple that are a little slow here. I think the dry, intense sun that we had kind of slowed them down a bit. You can see good new growth on most of these, though. They're happy, and they'll be taking off pretty soon, I think. I guess that's it for now for a short farm tour. I just hadn't done any videos in a while, and I wanted to share what's going on in the farm here. I have some more videos coming. I'm going to be doing a video about foliar feeds, both the equipment and some of the benefits of foliar feeds coming up soon, so please check back for the channel for that. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe, and if you like this video, please click the like button. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network. A couple of things I meant to go over quick. The raspberries, these are Nova raspberries. They've been under the high nutrition program for, I think, 3 years now. This started out as just 4 plants, and now you can see they've thrown runners out, and there's all kinds of new plants popping up all over the place. So I'll be propagating from these soon. But I wanted to point out that I made some targeted foliar feeds on these as well. Two, to be exact. A shot of Sea Shield and Rejuvenate very early on the season as they started to throw out their first leaves. And then a couple of weeks later, another shot of Sea Shield and Rejuvenate with some Accelerate to help put the trace mineral nutrition and hormonal support for flowering and fruiting in. And I just want to point out how many flowers and fruit are coming onto these plants. These are going to really be productive this year. I know it's a small amount of plants, but this is a great example of what happens when you get trace mineral nutrition correct and really get the system turned on and rolling. You get your soil health and your plant health up. And for those of you who don't know, plants and soils have a very closely tied symbiotic relationship where truly healthy plants build truly healthy soils and vice versa. So as the soil and plant health goes up, they continue to accelerate each other's health. And in doing so, you improve the plant health so much that insects and diseases are no longer a concern because the plants are able to defend themselves from those pests. So this is a good example as we're in flower here and the fruit are just starting to come on. In another week or two, I would think we'll have some ripe raspberries coming on, so I'm pretty excited about that. These Nova raspberries are delicious, and they're I forget the type that they're called, but they're the type of raspberry that come off without the stem, versus like a blackberry that comes off with the stem. So these are really nice, and these are a nice firm fruit that stay together when you pick them off. They don't fall apart like some of the other raspberry varieties. These hold together as a raspberry when you pick them off. I'll do an update as the raspberries come on and give you an example of that. What else? My Japanese knotweed is cranking. I just kind of stuck one plant in there a couple of years ago, and they have absolutely blown up. They had a couple of targeted foliar feeds early on, but I have not fed them at all this year, and you can see they're quite healthy and happy. My comfrey plants are doing good. They're actually starting to flower already, and you can see we have some yellow dock mixed in with those, which is hard to get rid of on a farm and can be a competitive weed, but they're not competitive or a problem here, so I haven't really messed with them too much. These are the Jerusalem artichokes. These had one foliar feed this year, and they're really cranking. I think these are going to be even bigger and denser than last year, and you can see the patch has grown by about double again since last year, so that's pretty exciting. And this soil health will be tremendous. These Jerusalem artichokes have an incredible ability to build soil. They really capture a lot of sunlight and turn it into root exudates, which of course feeds the soil biology and then goes back and feeds the plants. So another good example of that symbiotic relationship. Very exciting to watch these propagate themselves out at a phenomenal rate. What else? Let's see, there's a black currant over here I want to show, so we'll just go over there quick. This is a black currant plant that I got from Agway last year. I put it in, I gave it a couple of targeted drenches, foliars, and it was kind of struggling last year. We had some dry weather. I didn't always get over here to water it as much as I should have, but now it's starting to really take off, and I'm pretty excited. I came out here to just hit it with a foliar feed the other night, and realized it's just cranking. So I should be able to propagate from this year and start building up a black currant, a large black currant crop, for lack of a better way to say it. So that's pretty exciting too. I like to start from a couple of good plants and build my own propagation crops rather than go out and spend a lot of money on propagation. A big part of that, of course, is just because my lack of budget, but I like to care for and nurture the plants from the beginning and see what kind of effect I can have and how fast I can grow them out. So this is another good example, and I think we'll just take a jump in the greenhouse next real quick and get a quick update in there, because it's been a little while since I did the greenhouse video. So we'll just jump over there. So here we are at the greenhouse. And what's going on in the greenhouse? These are evergreen scallions that my friend Steve bought seed for. These are going to have to transplant soon. These, the exception of this, are sage. These are Armenian cucumbers. I've never grown these before, but I think they're similar to the tasty green cucumbers I've grown other years, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do. They're about due for a transplant soon also, and you can see they've stretched a little bit. They're a little bit more leggy because of the lower light in the greenhouse here, which is a big part of the reason they need to get out in the field. These stunted tomatoes are still stunted. I'm still not messing with those. I probably should just kick them off, but I don't have the heart to kill a plant. These are the leftover jalapenos that I couldn't fit in the rows there. I may do another patch somewhere. These are the red mercury peppers. They're starting to take off pretty well. These are orange Hawaiian marigolds, more of them. These are those sized up. Obviously these need to be transplanted pretty much right away as well. These are King Richard leeks. This is a second planting of those. The first planting is over here, and they're about ready for transplant. So I'll have to find a spot to put them and get them in pretty soon. This is a propagation tray of cherry tomatoes, all cuts that I took from the other cherry tomatoes over here. They are doing really well. I gave a few to my friend Ted. He stopped over last night and picked up some plants, so I'll be curious to see how his do over at his place as well. Turned him on to foliar feeds and nutrition and drenches and that sort of stuff, and he's really caught fire with it this year. He's pretty excited, and he's been going great guns. So it's nice to see a fertility fire growing and spreading, so to speak. Let's see, the aloe vera plant is doing really well. My friend Steve took a couple of sprigs of that yesterday, and you couldn't hurt that plant if you tried. I don't think. It's just rocking. My mom brought back this other aloe that she nearly killed, and it's coming back well under good fertility and some appropriate waterings and such. Glad to see that recovering. The lemon tree was flowering out pretty good. Kind of hadn't caught up on feedings again, so last night I came through and gave everything a good feed, so that should continue to roll. And actually you can see a new flower popping already as a result of that feed, so that's how fast a good foliar drench can really turn things back in a positive direction. Let's see, the ginger is starting to really take off. The stuff that the chipmunks haven't completely dug up or messed up. Very excited to see that coming back. I really want to do this on a much bigger scale outside, but I just haven't been able to get the money together for the seed for it at this time of year. This time of year there's a lot of expenses to lay out, and no income coming in from the farm yet, so that's that. What else? The avocado is taking off pretty well. It's growing quite large. And I need to get all these plants out in the direct sun soon. Get them out where they can really get the full photosynthetic effect. What else? These cherry tomatoes are coming along pretty good. I just gave them another feed last night. They were overdue for a feed, and you can see good new healthy growth coming in on top. New flowers setting everywhere, and new cherry tomatoes growing all over. And here's a couple that are ripening out. And let's see. These are Texas Tarragon. I propagated a bunch of those out from the big Texas Tarragon bucket. Those are all starting to take off, so I'll have to go around and put a bunch of those in here and there. And this is a cherry tomato that I just left in this crate from back over the winter, and it's had some foliar feeds, and I've run some of my flush out from drenches and feeds onto it. It's starting to really take off. I got to get back in here and put some kind of trellis in and get it trained up. I think I'm going to keep a bunch of cherry tomatoes in the greenhouse this year, and then hopefully when fall comes and temperatures start to drop outside, I should be able to carry on with some cherry tomato production. So I think that's everything in the greenhouse for now. And I think that's it for today's farm tour. Didn't want to leave it too long without giving an update. So that's the update for now. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network, and definitely check back on the channel. I'm going to be doing some new exciting videos about foliar feeds, the equipment, and some of the benefits of foliar feeds coming up. We're going to really drill down into some more technical stuff related to agronomy this year. I want to really try and educate people better, and get things really get more detail painted in for those of you who aren't familiar with some of these tools, techniques, and practices. For now, thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network.